The young Indian talent Nihal Sarin takes on the Hungarian Sanan Sujirov and opens the game with 1 e4. Sanan responds with e5, knight to f3, and we have the Rui Lopez on the board. The Berlin has been played and anti-Berlin with the move d3, bishop c5 played, and now generally the main moves are c3 and bishop c6, but Nihal goes for bishop g5, pinning the knight here, and this leads to sharp and exciting games. The time control is 15 minutes plus 10 seconds increment, and h6 played by Sanan, bishop h4 played, keeping the pin, and now d6 played by black. Maybe not the most accurate way to play, but that's interesting. Nihal goes c3. He's just playing this flexibly, keeping all his options open. Bishop goes back, and now knight would come out to d2, and that's what he does. He brings his knight out. Black has a question here. Does he want to castle or not? Bishop d7 played. Sanan keeps it flexible, keeps his king in the center. Nihal comes after the bishop. This is already looking quite good for Nihal Sarin here, because winning that important bishop on b6 is very good for him. But knight e7 played, and Sanan does something interesting, that he says, if you're going to anyway win my bishop, I want you to trade the other bishops so that you won't be left with bishop pair. But on the other hand, Nihal is in no hurry to actually get this bishop here. He first castles it out, and later on can start pushing his pawns on the queen side. Whoa, Sanan also castles. This is a bit risky because the black's king position is a bit exposed. Rook comes to e1, and Nihal is angling for the central breakthrough with d4. Queen c6 played so that you can play a6, and when you take here, the queen can take back. a4 played, a6, and I think Nihal must now take this bishop off. It's an important bishop, but first he goes h4. A nice move there. Nihal is going on the attack with 12 minutes against Sanan 7. g4, pushing the knight away. Knight h2, attacking the pawn now. This pawn needs to be protected. It's attacked twice. You have to play h5. What is Sanan going to do? Because the moment you play h5, all the dark squares become weak. And Nihal quickly goes king h1. He wants to break with f3 and not have this bishop looking at this diagonal. So Sanan keeps the bishop intact. Maybe wiser was to actually take this bishop. But now Nihal goes here, trying to enter. The best move here is knight h7 with a very key point, that f5 takes and queen e8. This was an important defensive idea, but he goes king g7. And now Nihal can jump in with the queen. It's a check. Knight goes in, and knight f1. What a beautiful maneuver. The knight is coming from e3 to f5, and you can see Nihal sitting back in his chair with 9 minutes 57 seconds on the clock. He's playing super quick. And now rook h8 played, and Nihal quickly goes in with his knight. It feels like Sanan's position is going to disintegrate here if the knight comes to f5. Knight g8 played, and I think it's time for a check. The king moves back, but it's not so easy to finish him off. Rook f1 with the idea of breaking with f3, and the rook looks against the f7 pawn. The queen moves back in defense. What is Nihal going to do next? Whoa, he goes d4. He's now wanting to open up his bishop, and already the pressure on e5 is more, so he takes on d4. And now will Nihal take it back? But there is a knight sacrifice in the air. Whoa, he sacrifices his knight, because if takes, there's bishop takes, knight here, and I can take with the bishop. Oops, not take here and check, and the rook falls. So that's the reason why this was taken. Sanan goes here, and Nihal takes back the pawn, keeping his knight opry. Sanan takes here, bishop takes. Now Nihal is a piece down, but look at his pieces in the attack. The knight is pinned. Rook h7 to control the g7 square, but now Nihal can bring another piece into the attack with rook c1, and he does that. The rook wants to enter here, so bishop b6 controlling the c7 square. What's next now? f3, bringing the other rook into the attack. Wow, bishop d8 played, defending the knight, and maybe at some point the queen could be attacked. Nihal takes the pawn, opening up here. The king needs to move away, king e8. but he plays king g8. Now this is a mistake, but the refutation is not so easy. Rook sacrifice there by Nihal Sarin. If you take here, knight e7 is coming, so he takes on f5. Nihal takes the queen. He takes the queen back. Right now, black is 2 pieces up, but after Nihal's next move, both of black's pieces are attacked, and this means that the material is going to be recovered. You can see Sanan shaking his head. He has 20 seconds left while Nihal has 3 minutes. And now g3. What a classy move here by Nihal, trapping the knight. If you count the number of pawns, Nihal is 2 pawns up. A beautiful attack has transpired. He takes the rook, king takes, and now he can pick up the knight. Yes, the position has clarified a bit and black is just a pawn down, but look at this central clump of pawns. It's so powerful. The king moves up to g2 and maybe it will go to h3. Bishop comes back to g5, and now it's time to push your pawns in the center of the board. Nihal keeping a very steady edge on the time with 3 minutes left for him, and Sanan down to 40 seconds. He pushes his pawn to e5, and I think it's time to resign this game for Sanan Sujirov. He takes on e5 because otherwise Nihal would have even pushed it further. And now pawn takes, and these two central pawns are just too strong here. 30 seconds left. What is black going to do? And Sanan plays rook c8. He wants to come down here with rook c2 check. And Nihal is thinking it's time for his move. 3 minutes 13 seconds, pushes his pawn to f6, and f7 f8 is coming. The game is all over. Sanan Sujirov resigns. A beautiful attacking masterpiece here by Nihal Sarin, especially the moves. Knight takes on d6 and also rook c7. Beautiful play there, and Nihal ends the day with a victory. This tournament is still wide open with regards to who can win this, and let's see if we can hear what the players are analyzing.